Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things I wanted to bring up this evening, based on our conversations from last night, or our event last night, just for information, and I'm not going to ask for it to come back, but Mr. City Manager, two things were raised. One was with a conversation with State Attorney Jack Campbell about the use of civil citations for children as opposed to arrests. There were some numbers cited from TPD and I believe the sheriffs as well, and it was said that it would really be TPD and the sheriff that would take the lead on that. So I would just be interested in seeing if we track how many youth are arrested that would be eligible for civil citations and just get some data on that. And that could be in an email. I'm just interested in the number before moving any further on that. And the second thing I just want to get clarity on is we've talked about all the different housing buckets in the past and what we're creating. If we can get a breakdown of what's in the pipeline that's being created, as well as eligible for different income levels. When we look at very low income, how much of what's coming online is that? If we just get a matrix of 1,700 units, this will be affordable for these different brackets, as well as if we have any data of what has come offline in the last year as we redevelop Orange Avenue. What's the net units we're gaining? We have some road projects at Blueprint in the pipeline that may take off things. What we approved earlier today took off, I believe, market rate and maybe added. I don't know if we do any tracking of what our net gain per year is for different income levels. If you have that information, it would be great. If not, I understand we don't track every private development, but that's all my comments tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Commissioner Williams Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to address the event that took place last night. I think that
Hold on just a second. It's a tornado warning that just came through for our area?
Yeah.
tornado warning has been coming.
Earlier,
it's been coming all night, all afternoon. It wasn't an Amber Alert. It was a tornado warning.
Yeah, until 6.
Wow, this is probably
Tornado
the safest room in this building because it doesn't have any windows. So,
Okay.
well, I tell you what, I think we can finish up business probably. Go ahead, Commissioner Williams Cox, I'm sorry.
Okay, in reference to the event last night, I think that we have an education issue on what we are doing to deal with housing. Even though we've had meetings, we've had joint meetings, we've had a number of things to educate our community, but apparently the process is not widely known. And therefore, we found ourselves in some situations last night that were tough and required to answer yes or no. And those yes or no answers had millions of dollars attached to them. Mm-hmm. I think that we need to, and I'm asking my colleagues' support, that we provide information to that organization. I don't see a banner in the room, but that we provide.
There she is.
Okay, a banner, that we provide information based on what was asked for last night, that we provide that information to the organization that sponsored that event so that we can and try to educate and communicate that we're working as hard as we can. I learned today that there are 200 houses in our community for sale, and we got 2,000 realtors trying to sell those 200 houses. That's what I heard today. So it's not like we're not doing anything. And when I tried to share last night what we are doing, it wasn't well received, and there were people there who wanted to hear that. And so we need to share this information, Mr. City Manager, so that our community knows widespread. I don't know if we need to get it to the media. I don't know how people get their information, but we need to make sure they're not opening the utility bill. I'm sorry, Mr. They're not opening the utility bill to read that. We've got to find a way to communicate with our residents what we are doing. They're not watching the meetings. I don't know how to do it, but we've got to find that magic communication tool to let folks know what we're doing. We're working as hard as we can to abide by the laws and to make sure that budgets are equitable and that we're doing a lot of things. And so I think that that's what we need to do. So I'll ask my colleagues support in something getting out to that organization as well as our community on what we're doing, how we are addressing housing, low income, workforce, affordable, all of the above, and what we're doing. And I thank you, Abena, for the information that I tried to share last night. I think we need to just put more of it out there, Mr. City Manager.
Commissioner Matlow actually kind of touched on, I wasn't around when we had this discussion, and based on last night and the county discussion recently, I was wondering what we thought about inviting TPD, the sheriff, the state attorney, to have that discussion with us about the civil citations, the programs, and their thoughts on the county discussion about legalizing marijuana or decriminalizing it. So it's just, what I have in mind is just a discussion similar, an informational item and discussion. No, I'm not asking for any action. I just wanted to hear from them an update and to really get more information about the civil citation programs.
On point. And I know you said you weren't around when we did this, but when we had the state attorney, the sheriff here in chambers to talk to us about that, when we were talking about 20 grams, ounces, whatever, or less, we had some of that discussion. So are we saying that you're saying we want to revisit that, or what are we saying we want to do? I want to support it, but I just want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of more a generalized discussion about the diversion programs, the civil citations, and I mean, so yeah, it would include that, but not necessarily being the focus. I just want a conversation similar that the county had and responding to what we can do to increase those numbers of civil citations for those who are eligible.
On point, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner, I would recommend that we bring information back in a report, a presentation from TPD in terms of the approach, how it works, how it connects with the process. It's pretty practiced. I think at that point, in fact, some of which Commissioner Matlow asked for earlier, that could be included in that analysis, the interactions, the results, how it works, what happens. We could do that, I think, fairly quickly, and TPD represents, a lot of engagement in our community. If that would suffice, I think that would give you a lot of background in terms of any other follow-up you might like to do.
That's fine with me as a starting point, and I'll see if I feel like I want to make another motion at that point. And that's it for me. Or Commissioner Richardson, yeah.
Just a follow-up to Commissioner Porter's line of questioning. The restorative justice program I know it doesn't take away a conviction, but isn't that something along the same lines as the civil citation?
It is, and Commissioner, forgive me, Cynthia Barber, our Deputy City Manager, could do a better job at it, but that's the approach, obviously. It has everything to do with your record and conviction and hopefully to avoid any kind of stigma that's attached to it. So these are very, very closely aligned. Okay. Yes, sir.
So would you be okay, Commissioner Porter, with that coming back as a part of the information?
Oh, sure.
Because it's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any kind of diversion program we're working on, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Williams Cox?
Also on point, and from the last meeting, remember that the Tempo is now going to be a part of those diversion programs as well. And I don't know if it has started, but I think that a holistic conversation about where that fits into it as well would be good.
Right. Commissioner Matlow?
Yeah, thank you. Just on point, I agree with Commissioner Richardson. I guess it's everything, right? It's not just the marijuana citations.
Right.
Yes, I think that's of interest, but it's the other civil citations that can be issued. It's restorative justice. And is there any actions we can take to reduce the amount of children that are being arrested and getting records? That's what I'm interested in exploring. Thank you.
All right. Seeing nothing.